Welcome to Aligned Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda and I'll be guiding our practice today. My question for you as you begin today is this: how comfortable are you with change even when it is for the best? I recently got braces off. I've been wearing Invisalign for about 15 months. And my smile is different. It is a better smile. My bite has been corrected. You can see more teeth when I smile, but it's not the smile that I was used to. It's not the bite that I was used to. I think this happens in life as well. In yoga, I recently took a new training and I learned how to come in and out of poses in a new way that is better for our bodies. It's more aligned, it's anatomically smarter. But those ways don't necessarily feel natural yet. This is a human condition. Paul is talking to the Galatians and he says, "Formerly, when you did not know God, you were enslaved to those that by nature are not gods. You were living a different kind of a life. But now that you have come to know God, or rather to be known by God, how can you turn back again to the weak and worthless elementary principles of the world, whose slaves you want to be once more? How can you turn back?" Today, I invite you to embrace change. When God is leading you into new places, when He is pruning you, when He is stretching you and growing you, I invite you to accept that with joy. I invite you to lean into that instead of resisting it. Come to a comfortable seated position, maybe elevating your hips up on a blanket or a block. Begin to rock side to side, front and back, finding those sitting bones. As you settle in today, I invite you to close your eyes and to find a very comfortable, natural posture for you. If you were just sitting here talking to a friend, what would that posture be like? And begin to anatomically realign as you inhale, creating a little more space in the back, lengthening through the spine. As you exhale, maybe you find a little strength in those core muscles. How does this posture feel? Are you tempted to go back to your other posture? Breathing in and out through the nose, inhaling down the body and exhaling up the body, I invite you to find a slower, longer, deeper breath. How has God been transforming you? How are you different now than you were last year? How are you different now than you were a month ago? As you create space with your breath, can you embrace change? As you exhale, can you exhale out the temptation to go back to the way things were? Stay here for 2 more breaths. The hands come down to the hips, taking a deep breath in, let arms rise up and overhead, and exhaling, bring the hands down and begin to connect movement and breath. And I invite you to lead with the breath, finding your pace, lifting those arms up with that inhale, floating them down to the mat with that soft exhale. Can you find power in the inhale and release in the exhale? The next time the arms rise, let the gaze rise as well. And as the arms come down, bow the head. What do you notice in the neck today? What do you notice up and down the abdominals and the back? One more time here. Leaving that right hand where it is, bring that left arm up and over. Begin to use those abdominals to move the body, using those internal obliques as you rise, opening up in the rib cage as you stretch. And be intentional about where the gaze goes. Are you looking up as the arms come over? Are you looking down? What's best for you? One more time like this. On that next inhale, right hand comes down, left arm comes over, stretch and reach, and maybe you push away from the mat with that right arm. Where is your gaze? Can you settle here? Taking a deep breath in, rise up and over, going the other direction. And notice where you are on this side, anchoring into those sitting bones, reaching the fingertips. Gaze up. One more breath here. On that next inhale, arms rise up and over. I invite you to come off the block, to bring your right leg out, your left foot anchored in. So just imagine that you're in a sitting tree pose here. Go ahead and bring your blocks or props to the front of your mat. Turning towards that extended leg, exhale as you come forward, inhale as you come back. 2 more times here. As you're ready, come forward and settle into your hamstring stretch. And maybe you draw that thigh, that hamstring muscle a little bit back towards the hip as you press the heel away from the body. And holding on wherever is best for you, maybe your hands are even on the mat. What happens if you begin to draw the elbows back towards the rib cage forward towards the elbows? Find breath. And then continuing to open up and down in the sides of the body, go ahead and bring that outside arm to the inside. You can prop it up on a block if that's better for you. Bring that other arm up and over and reach for your foot. Again, can you settle into the sitting bones? Relax the shoulder. Deep breath in, rise up. Invite you to switch to the other side. So again, just finding this tree pose, flexing the foot, creating strength in this extended left leg. Exhale forward as you hinge at the hip. Inhale as you rise. Back and forth here. Maybe as you do this, you think about how your forward fold might feel later today. Where is your body feeling a little stuck or tight? And as you're ready, come forward and settle. And again, that hamstring muscle comes back towards the hip. That heel presses forward. Let the head drop and find length in the body. Stay here for one more breath. Bring that outside arm in. Sweep that left arm all the way up. Come up and over towards that foot. I think it's your right arm that's up, actually. Anchor into the sitting bones. Again, where is the gaze? Notice how the stretch changes with breath. Where is there strength? Where is there release? Inhaling, rise up, come up and over and release. Invite you to cross your legs and come forward and meet me in table. So fingers spread wide, wrists underneath the shoulders. Go ahead and press at the base of the fingers, each side of the wrist. Create a little bubble of air in the palm of the hands, and then Bring those fingertips down and begin to draw the fingers towards the knees. Pressing down through the tops of your feet. Exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. 3 more times here. Does your body move with ease? Or is practice a little bit of a struggle today? Just noticing. Where do you feel the most release? As you're ready, meet me back at table. Extend the head forward as you imagine the hip creases drawing back. Find neutral position of the spine, the natural curves for you. Begin to engage the abdominals. Maybe you can create a little more length with breath. Hands one handprint forward. Come forward into a kneeling plank and exhale down to the mat. Forearms wide, palms pressed down, rise in and out of Sphinx. 2 more times. Find your pace, your breath. Down to the mat and join me as we come into this final Sphinx pose. Draw the shoulders just a little bit forward, protracting them, and then retract them. Draw those shoulders up and back, tucking the shoulder blades underneath the rib cage. Finding a new Sphinx pose. Finding breath. Staying here for 2 more breaths. What do you notice in the back? Can you engage the muscles of the legs a little more? Exhaling, come down to the mat, hands to rib cage, elbows to sky, rise into table. And from table, tilt the hips towards the mat. Curling the toes under, find that first downward facing dog. Knees come into the rib cage, hips are still tilted. And then begin to press through the hands. Again, base of each finger, base of each side of the wrist. Let those fingers begin to draw in, begin to pedal through your feet. Taking a deep breath in, heels rise. Exhaling, heels come down to the mat. How does downward dog feel today? As you breathe in, can you push those arms away from the body? As you exhale, can you engage the abdominals? And the next breath in, let that right leg rise up, heel to hip, knee to sky, open up the body. And deep breath in as the leg rises, let the leg come forward, drop the back knee. Go ahead and press through your hands, maybe your fists, maybe you have a block on each side. Begin to lift and lower that back leg. Finding release and stretch through the hip flexor. And as you're ready, raise that back leg up. Pressing into the left hand, press down into the mat, raise that right arm in your twist. Maybe you stay here, or maybe you bring that hand to the small of your back and support through the sacrum as you open up across the chest. Cartwheel that arm all the way down, hands to either side of the foot. Let the front foot come to the back. Meet me in plank. Maybe coming down to that kneeling plank into the mat. Maybe rising into Sphinx. Coming back through table and into downward dog. Taking a deep breath, settle here. Let the heels begin to drop a little bit more towards the mat if they can. Maybe you can engage the muscles of the legs. Can you press down with your toes, particularly your big toe and your little toe? Deep breath in, left leg rises high. Heel to hip, knee to sky. And then breathing in, let that leg rise as the gaze comes forward and the foot comes all the way through the hands. Drop the back knee down and find your lunge. And then hands to either side of that foot. Maybe using a block, begin to lift and lower that knee. Back and forth here. Invite you to stay here with the leg lifted, pressing into that right hand, sweep the left arm up. And hand to the small of the back, go ahead and engage as you press that hand into the sacrum, as you begin to find your stretch, opening up across the chest. Maybe the inner thighs draw towards the center of the mat a little bit more. Sweep the arm all the way up and around. Front foot comes to the back. Meet me in plank. From plank this time, come down to the mat and find that low cobra. So maybe hands come out a little bit wide. Again, draw the shoulders slightly forward first. Lift the chest. Then draw the shoulders back and open up. And exhale down and hands to rib cage. And come through table as you tilt the hips, curl the toes under, knees to rib cage, downward facing dog. I invite you to stay here for 3 breaths. How has this pose shifted since you started? Can you get comfortable with it as it shifts? On the next inhale, right leg rises high, heel to hip, knee to sky, open up. And then raise the toe up, 3-leg dog, and draw that foot all the way through and rise into lunge. Open the arms out wide, twist towards the inside of that front knee. I invite you to drop that back arm, lift the front. Again, how much length can you find up and down the side of that body from fingertips all the way back down to that heel? As you're ready, release. Cartwheel the hands down. Front foot comes to the back. Meet me in plank. Stay in plank for a breath. From plank, draw the body a little bit forward. You can push with your feet and come down to the mat. Hands out to the outside. Find your cobra. And come back to downward facing dog. So you have options. You can do kneeling planks and sphinx. You can do chaturanga and upward facing dog. What's best for you in this practice today? On the next inhale, the left leg rises high, heel to hip, knee to sky, open up. And then 3-leg dog as you point that toe and draw the gaze forward and bring that foot all the way through. Rise up into your lunge. Find the lunge, bringing that left hand to the small of the back. Begin to support it. And bring the hands out to the side. Switched my twist there. Go ahead and twist to the inside of that front leg. Now drop that back arm. Lift the front. Find breath. What do you notice with your breath? As you're ready, release. Cartwheel hands to either side of that foot. This time bring the back foot forward and meet me in forward fold. Let the top of the head come down towards the mat and press into your feet. Maybe the hamstring muscles rise up to meet the hips. Shake your head out, no and yes. And inhaling, rise up halfway. Exhale, come down to the mat, rising all the way up, meet me in mountain. Finding extended mountain, inhale and push those arms up. And exhale, hands to heart. What changes are you resisting right now? In this attitude of prayer, can you surrender that? Taking a deep breath in, arms rise, exhaling, forward fold. And hands to shins, rise up halfway and exhale down, one leg back and then the other, and meet me in plank. And from plank, come all the way down to the mat. And if you want that upward facing dog, just slide those hands towards the hips as the body rolls up. And curling the toes under, meet me in downward facing dog. So shifting the sequence just a little bit here. I invite you to go from downward facing dog, a little bit forward and over into your plank. Bring your right knee to your nose, round your back. Deep breath in, three-leg dog, and go ahead and just bring that knee to the center of the mat. Kickstanding the leg out behind you. Realign the hands and the knees. Find gate pose with a side angle bend. And pressing through the outside edge of that back foot, come all the way up and over peaceful warrior in gate pose. So again, lengthening through the sides of the body, stretching and reaching and embracing change. One more time. As you're ready to come into that side angle bend, I invite you to stay here. Maybe the arm lifts up and maybe that leg lifts up parallel to the floor. Maybe this is where you stay. Or maybe the heel comes back and the hand comes to the foot and the foot presses into the hand and hand into foot. And this is where you stay. And wherever you are, stay for 2 more breaths. As you're ready, release and bring that foot down and exhale and spin back to the center and come back into that 3-leg dog. And come down to downward facing dog. And stay here and find breath. Taking a deep breath in, the left leg rises high. And bring it back down and come slightly forward into your plank. And round your shoulders as you come into that plank. Come all the way down to the mat. Maybe you come into that upward facing dog. Meet me in downward dog. Come forward into your plank again. Push forward with those heels. Stay here. And then bring your knee to your nose and round your back. And kickstand that leg high. And this time the knee comes to the center of the mat and you're going to kickstand that foot behind you. And now that left hand is in alignment with that left knee, is in alignment with that left foot. And rise up into your side angle bend. And use those abdominals as you lift and you come over and you float into peaceful warrior. And 2 more times here. Move with your breath. As you're ready, come into that side angle bend one final time. And reach the arm up and stretch it up to the sky and anchor through the abdominals and the outside of that foot, and then float that back foot up. Maybe this is where you stay, or maybe the heel comes back and the hand comes to the foot and you open up here. And where is that gaze? Are you looking up? Maybe you're looking forward or down. What's best for you? The next inhale, release. Pivot back down. Press that front leg back into three-legged dog. And then meet me in downward facing dog. So stay here for 3 breaths and check in. Notice how has the body responded. Taking a deep breath in, right leg rises high. Gaze forward, push off with that back foot. Bring that front foot forward, rise into your lunge. Exhaling, hand to heart, I invite you to hinge forward and find a twist here. And then release as the arms rise up, bring them out to the side and pivot into warrior 2. And find your side, or your peaceful warrior into your side angle lunge here. And one more time here. Then find that side angle lunge and stay there and bring that top arm up. And I invite you to bring the back foot in about halfway. Bring maybe a block in front of that front foot. And then can you push off with that back foot as you lift? Half moon pose. Maybe you stay here. Maybe the heel comes back and the foot presses into the hand. And inhale. Come back into your peaceful warrior. And then as you're ready, cartwheel forward. Front foot to the back, meet me in plank. Come all the way down to the mat, find your back bend. And find your way back to downward facing dog. I invite you to stay here, to check in, to notice. And then taking a deep breath in, walk those hands up, those feet up in between the hands. My goodness. Cueing, cueing, cueing. Drop your head down, shake it out. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down. Pushing through the feet, come all the way up to mountain pose. Exhaling, hands to heart. As you stay here and check in, do you notice anything different from the last time you were in mountain pose? Maybe one side of the body feels a little different, or your feet are pressing down a little differently. Can you smooth out your breath? Deep breath in, arms rise, exhaling, forward fold. And hands to shins, rise up halfway and exhale down, and one leg back and then the other, and meet me in plank. And from plank, come down to the mat. And find your back bend. And find your way back to downward facing dog. And settle here and check in and notice. Taking a deep breath in, left leg rises high. Drawing the gaze forward, push forward with that foot that's on the floor. Bring the top foot through, rise into your lunge. Hands to heart. Hinge forward from the hips, finding a twist here. And unwind as those arms come down. Engage the abdominals as the arms come up. Arms out to the side. Find your warrior two. Back foot parallel to the outside edge of the mat. Front toes facing forward. Using the abdominals, come up and over. And go the other direction. And continue here 2 more times. Now you know where we're headed. Come over into that final side angle bend. And then reach the arm up and take the hand behind the small of the back to support it. And that back foot comes up about halfway. And as you bring your hand to the mat, push off with this back foot. And begin to find half moon pose. Maybe the top arm rises, maybe not. And maybe hand comes back, foot to hand, and you find the pose here, finding breath as well. So breath is most important, more important than the pose. Arms rise, legs extend. Push back with that front foot, peaceful warrior. Cartwheel your way to the floor, front foot to the back. Meet me in plank. From plank, choose your flow. How are you coming to downward facing dog? I invite you to stay here. So we're just going to repeat that whole thing. We're going to move through it a little more quickly. Deep breath in, right leg rises high. I invite you to come forward into a 3-leg plank. Exhale, nose to knee, arching the back. Inhale, 3-leg dog. Exhale, knee to mat. Kickstand back. Find your gate pose with your side angle bend. Rise up into peaceful warrior. Back to side angled bend. This time raise the arm and the leg. Maybe you stay here, maybe you push back, maybe you open up across the chest a little bit more as that foot presses into the hand. And then extend, lower the leg, cartwheel back, 3-leg dog with that right leg. Meet me in downward facing dog. Deep breath in, left leg rises. Push yourself forward with that other foot, round the shoulders just a little bit as you come into that 3-leg plank. Exhale, nose to knee. And then inhale as the leg rises. 3-leg dog. And exhale, knee to the mat. And pivot that shin and realign hand, knee, and foot. Find peaceful warrior from gate pose or side angle bend into peaceful warrior. And then back into side angle bend. Your option, of course, is to stay here. But maybe that arm rises and that other leg rises as well. Find the balance in the abdominals. Bring that foot back, hand to foot, open up. Where is the gaze? And release. And exhale and unwind and find downward dog. Then drawing the gaze forward, bring the hands to the feet to the hands. Forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhaling, come down and pushing through your feet. Come all the way up to that mountain. As you inhale, push those arms overhead, extended mountain. And exhale, hands to heart. I invite you to stay here and find breath. What do you notice? Taking a deep breath in, arms rise, exhaling, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway and exhale down. And take your legs back to plank, and however you choose to do it, find your way back into that downward facing dog. Meet me there. Stay here for one more breath. Deep breath in, right leg rises high. Drawing the gaze forward, bring the foot all the way through into your lunge, rise up into your lunge. Exhaling, hands to heart. Hinge at the hips and find your twist. Release, arms come down and rise up and come back into peaceful warrior two. Peaceful warrior to side angle bend. And then raise that top arm, bring that hand to the small of the back. That back leg comes up just a little bit. Maybe there's a block in front of you. Push off with that back foot as you rise into half moon pose. And maybe this is where you stay, or maybe that foot comes back and the hand presses into the foot. Quadricep stretch, maybe stretching the abdominals, a little bit of a back bend. And unwind. Push off with that front foot as you go to the back. Peaceful warrior. Cartwheel, hands to either side of the foot. Front foot to the back, meet me in plank. And from plank, come down to the mat however you choose to do it. What's best for you in this moment? So many options. As you meet me in downward facing dog, notice mind, attitude. How are you feeling physically? What sensations do you notice or emotions? Next inhale, left leg rises high. Gaze forward, push that right foot forward as that left foot comes between the hands, rise into your lunge. Hands to heart, hinge forward and find that twist. Release as you come back, arms rise, arms out to the side, pivot to your warrior two. Peaceful warrior, side angle bend. Stay here. As you're ready, that arm reaches to the sky. Maybe this is enough. This is where you stay. We're heading towards half moon pose. Maybe that hand comes to the small of your back to support it as you open up across the chest. And that back foot comes in, a third, halfway, enough to give you a little more balance. And press off with that back foot as you rise and find your half moon pose, whatever that looks like. Maybe hand comes to heel or foot, and foot presses into hand, and I don't know, maybe not. And exhale and come back. Cartwheel, hands come to either side of that front foot. One more time, back foot to the front. Meet me in forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhaling, come down, pushing through the feet. Come all the way up. Inhale, extended mountain. Push those arms overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart. What do you notice? What changes have you been resisting lately? Taking a deep breath in, find your forward fold. And maybe you can let go of that resistance. And shake your head out, no and yes. And hands to shins, rise up halfway, and exhaling, come down and one leg back and then the other, and just meet me in plank. And from plank, I invite you to come all the way forward and down. And one more back bend of your choice. And as you're ready, glide back into child's pose. First child's pose of this practice. Come in and out of it a couple of times, into table, back into child. And settle into your child's pose and stay here. Finding breath. From fingers to toes. How has God changed you? Breathe in the courage to lean into that change instead of resisting it. Exhale out the resistance. Feel your body soften. The muscles of your face, your forehead, your hands, your feet, your arms and your legs. Let the belly get soft and heavy. Stay here for 2 more breaths. As you're ready, press into your hands and rise up. Come to your hips, bringing your feet forward. And bring those feet wide as you gently drop your knees side to side. And let the feet come the rest of the way forward and come onto your back. And I invite you just to stay here, knees bent, shoulder blades on the mat, and check in. Then bring the knees in and give yourself a hug and rock side to side. With the feet together, I invite you to bring the knees to the ceiling, big toes touching, and circle the knees away from each other and in, just kind of massaging out the back, releasing any remaining tension in the hips. And as you're ready, go the other direction. Gently draw the knees into the rib cage and away, back and forth here. And as you're ready, find Shavasana, extending legs long. And maybe windshield wiper the feet and bounce the knees and wiggle the hips a little. And let the arms rise up and let the shoulders drop. And one more time here. And let the hands come all the way down to your side. And I invite you to stay in Shavasana, in this place of stillness, as I read to you from the poem, from the poetry book, All Along You Were Blooming, written by Morgan Harper Nichols. It wasn't until she reached the shore that she realized she was meant for water. She no longer yearned to linger on the lawn. She had reached her end, and it was there she learned to see. This was not the end at all. This was the beginning. And it would be here, as the waves rushed in, she would hear the sea calling. She is starting again. She is coming out to the sea to be a soul set free from whom she was back then. And she will go forth in deeper waters with hope as the anchor for her soul, reminding her that it was never other people that made her feel truly whole. And all along, she was called to more, a glorious life beyond the shore. As you stay here for another minute, hear the song of the sea, the call to deeper waters. Gently bring yourself back to this time and this place. Stay a little longer if you can. Reconnect with your breath and notice the way your body has connected to the mat. Gently bring movement back, wiggling fingers and toes, rotating wrists and ankles, turning your head side to side. And then next inhale, draw arms up and overhead and reach those legs as long as you can, fingers reaching to one wall, toes reaching to the other. And as you're ready, draw your knees in, give yourself a hug and rock side to side. And as you're ready, roll over onto your side, knees bent, maybe supporting your head with your arm or a block. And stay there for 2 more breaths. On your next inhale, arms rise, palms together, and breathing out, hands come to heart. Bowing your head. Check in. Body, mind, and soul. What has changed? What has stayed the same? Accepting it as it is. Joining me in prayer, Holy God, you are a God of change. You created this earth never static. You created each of us, every day different, every hour different. Help us, Lord, to embrace the transformation, to embrace the becoming, so that we can be more like you, Jesus. Seeing with your eyes, hearing with your ears, loving with your heart, that all may know the love that you have for them. It is in your name, Jesus, that we pray. Amen. Thank you for practicing with me today.